was Maniac from Dissentience. And before that, we heard Radiation Sickness from Nuclear Assault. And, of course, that's the signature tune of this show. You are listening to the Radiation Sickness Show. We play the hardest metal in the Lehigh Valley every Thursday from 7 till 9, right here on 91.3 FM WLVR and streaming on WLVR.org. And we have a special treat this week. We actually have two members of Dissentience in the studio. We have Connor.
What's going on?
And Jimmy.
Hey.
Connor is guitarist and lead vocalist, and Jimmy is guitar and backing vocals. I have that right?
I don't do too many backing vocals.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah.
Cool.
Essentially just the guitar player.
And can you talk about, tell me the members that aren't here today?
Well, first off, we got Sean Langer, the bass player,
okay,
down the low end. And then we got Nick the Hobbit Sheridan on the drums.
Does he go by that nickname, or do you guys just give that to him?
I mean, we gave it to him. He goes by it.
Yeah, he goes by it. Yeah, he's good. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, I don't know if other people have had this problem, but I certainly had a problem pronouncing the name of the band.
Oh, don't worry. Everybody does.
So, like, from the beginning, I was, for like 3 months, Dissentience, and like, then I just stopped and I looked it up or something. I'm like, something just doesn't seem right, but it's Dissentience, right? Yep. Do I have it right?
Yep,
okay, cool.
I mean, we just refer to ourselves as Disney Sentence. So it's the same thing,
And not to be confused with Disney Fist, right?
Of course, of course.
Now, what does it mean? What's the meaning of it for you guys? Like, why did you pick that name?
Essentially, me and Connor started the band back in high school. And it's actually a funny story how we started the band.
Tell it. Let's hear
it. We both played guitar. We met each other in the high school band, actually. We both played saxophone. And
we met each other long before that.
I mean, yeah, but we didn't, know each other before that. I'm just saying, when this happened.
Jimmy used to bust tables with my family ate at Sal's.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
In the day. I was 11 years old.
Way back.
He was the favorite waiter? You were like, let's get a table in Sal's area?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, in Jimmy's area.
Yeah, Jimmy's area.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just he played metal. He found out that I liked metal as well. And then one day, we were talking about it. We realized I had seen him at Mayhem Fest no, it was Uproar Fest.
Yeah, Uproar.
Right. I remember looking over. I was on the front rail with my one buddy, and I looked over and I saw this kid.
You're like, I know that dude.
I was like, yeah. I know that dude. And then there was some crazy maniac behind him, which turned out to be his dad. Yep. Good old Pappy. So. So we started talking, and the first time we jammed, I went over to his house, and it was pretty awful. I'm not going to lie. It was, I remember he told me later on, after I had left, he was talking to our current drummer at the time, Corey Gross, and he was just like, yeah, that kid will never be in the band. Straight up. And you know what?
That's awesome.
It was actually deserving, because, after jamming with him, I realized, I needed to, step my game up.
Yeah.
So, a month or two went by. We ended up, jamming again, and it just seemed to work out a little bit better.
That's awesome that you were able to bring it up. Yeah, that's really cool.
So yeah,
and even musically too. At the time, I don't think you were really listening.
No,
to
yeah, I mean, I had just gotten into metal.
Into.
I think the heaviest thing I listened to was my cousins got me into Anthrax, which was
Revenge
dope. I got that anthology or whatever, and I used to listen to that. But he got me into bands like Trivium and Machine Head and all that stuff, the stuff that I had never even heard before.
So you were kind of more on the same page than that second time, because you were more in tune with what he was listening to.
Yeah, and I just practiced a little bit more too. And at some point he probably was just like, screw it, let's just try to start something. So we ended up doing it.
So you couldn't find anybody else. That's really
yeah. I was the last choice.
I mean, ultimately, I think it just came down to maybe the skill wasn't there at first, but even to this day, Jimmy's the most enthusiastic person in the band.
Yeah, there's other things like X Factor. There's other things.
Yeah,
that
so
come out.
So many things to this band.
Yeah, so many facets. But yeah, and on top of all that, we had the same guitar teacher too.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
Dave Smith over at Hawk Music Center.
Yeah, that was another. So that was another connection that we had.
Yeah.
As far as getting together and jamming.
So yeah, we would it was me and him jamming, writing songs. I mean, he's the predominant writer of the group. He definitely has the most creative side as far as coming up with just ridiculous riffs and piecing them together. Me, it's I come up with a riff here or there, and then I bring it to him, and then we'll either work on it together or he'll just fit it in somewhere and it'll work. So
that's cool.
That's actually how most of this EP was written. It was just he pretty much took over that entire thing, and like we all contributed in like our own way and stuff like that. But for the most part, as far as like the riffs and the structure, like this kid just held it.
Yeah,
down.
every band has a different dynamic. So if that works for you guys,
Crazy.
then that's it.
I always got to give him props for that because he's real good at it.
That's cool. And you write all the lyrics too, Connor?
No, the lyrics actually we split a lot.
Okay.
Jimmy and I probably split it maybe like
I'd say like 60-40.
Yeah, I mean, everybody else sort of sprinkles in something here or there. You know, this line doesn't sound that great if we would change it to this or something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then
so you kind of have the main structure, and then there's like a little bit of editing, moving stuff around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like me and him will do vocals together, like I'll do like the engineering part of it and like, tell him if it's a good take or not. And one of my favorite things personally is coming up with the vocal patterns. I love doing that.
Oh, like so melodies, like vocal
me and
melodies.
him work really well with that as far as like
That's
listening
cool.
to each other's ideas and
even listening to music. I mean, like when I get into music, I don't care if the vocals sound like a robot farting. You know, like
I
if
care
the riffs
a lot.
are heavy, like I'll get into
okay.
it. Doesn't really faze me. But with Jimmy, I know he listens to the four.
You listen to both sides of it.
I like the vocals for me. It's like if I'm listening to a new band and I don't like the vocals, I'm probably not going to like the band.
Okay.
That's just how I
I'm similar to that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So it's kind of good that we have that balance because it just helps create more interesting stuff as opposed to if we both only wanted vocals. You know what I mean? Then, like the riffs would suffer. So.
Yeah. Well, any partnership, you got to kind of fit each other instead of like if you're both equally the same and have the same strengths. It's like where do you go from there? You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's cool.
So yeah, it's worked out since high school, and here we are now.
So I've said this before on the air that I play you guys because you're good. You're a really good band. But the other cool part is because you're local. You know, so I'm not just playing you guys because you're local, but it's awesome to have a really good band that's from Bethlehem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can you tell me about like where you guys are? Are you all from Bethlehem, PA? Or are you from like the Lehigh Valley area? Or
kinda.
3 of us are from Bethlehem.
Okay.
And then our drummer actually because since
he's an import.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it's like we've always had drummer problems. Going back to high school, it's like we felt like we could never keep a consistent drummer. We had
that Spinal Tap thing all over.
I know, seriously. We actually like made references to that all the time because we.
And a good drummer makes or breaks.
Well,
a band,
if you don't have a good drummer, you don't have a good band.
Yep.
And we're lucky enough that Nick. I mean, the kid's amazing. Like
he is.
You've heard what he can do on the record, and just jamming with him and everything.
He can do it live.
Exactly.
Like that's the thing that gets me.
Well, I've seen even on social media, there's some like. I guess he's doing demos or demonstrations of his drum skills and all that. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so we could not have lucked out more with Nick. I mean, essentially what had happened was at the end of high school, we were out of drummer again, go figure, and all of a sudden we were sitting there the one day, we got a message on, what was it, YouTube?
No, so we got an email through, I think it was like through YouTube or something. Like he watched a YouTube video that we had up, and he was like, "Oh, I'd love to play drums for you guys, but I could live like 4 hours away."
Oh man, wow!
I don't
cool.
and I don't think I could keep up with your rigorous practice schedule. So we kind of laughed about that because
it's not that rigorous.
Yeah, it's not that. It should be, but it's not.
And we were like, "Nah, man, like come out for a weekend or something. Come out for a week. Come out and jam. We'll see how it goes." And one thing led to another. He came out for 4 days the first time.
I mean, I was up at school. I didn't.
Yeah.
I missed that first jam with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
he came up for 4 days the first time. We hung out, and it was we'd played Xbox and stuff a lot before that, just to sort of like get to know each other.
Yeah, that's really
hang,
good.
4 hours away, but when we actually met for the first time, it was like you meet your long lost friend or something.
Yeah. Like a pen pal or something like that. Yeah, that's cool.
And he's a perfect fit for the band. Kills it on the drums. He killed.
So
it
what did he reload to the Bethlehem area or?
Eventually.
Maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, him and his girlfriend moved down here. They live, like right over
cool.
Liberty, so they're.
So you can do that rigorous practice schedule now.
Right. Yeah. That's what we do.
I wish.
That's really cool. So tell me a little bit about some of your influences. So I tried to avoid getting into that, before we got on the air because I want to hear about it and we want to broadcast it and all that. So give me some of your influences.
I mean, I think it comes from everywhere. When the band started, it was more like the bands that brought us together were definitely stuff like Trivium, Machine Head.
Okay.
Jimmy actually wasn't super into like the earlier thrash stuff at first, so
I was not.
What were you into at that time?
Again, like I said, I was just like
Sevenfold.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Everybody's into something.
Hey man, I still like Avenged Sevenfold. I don't care.
Listen, they still rule. That early stuff still rules.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean, as far as influences goes, like we listen to everything like together. Like like honestly, the biggest influence for me personally on music was probably him. As far as like just metal goes, he introduced me to like so many bands. Like Exodus. Like I hadn't really like listened to them before, and then I heard what was it, Exhibit B, and I was like, yo, Gary Holt's awesome. Like a god, So, like Machine Head, like this sweatshirt I'm wearing, like Protest the Hero, like it's my favorite band. You know what
Actually. Not to backtrack, but going back to where we got the band
That's
name.
what I was gonna,
That's what I thought you were going to bring up,
yeah. Yep. Yeah, so essentially, it's tough to find a band name today because it's 2019.
Or a radio show name.
Yeah, any branding name, it's tough because, there's so many people trying to push something out there, and, with whatever name. So we had a band name before, it was Why We Fight, and there was 3 or 4 other bands with that name. And between the fact that we had like one of them emailing us constantly to change it, and
weren't they from like Europe or something too?
Yeah, I forget where they were from.
It's like some country that like you wouldn't expect,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
But between that and then we got Nick in the band, so that was just a whole new world of like where we could go musically. We figured, sort of fresh start, let's change the band name, and that proved to be much tougher than initially thought. So after going through, 100 different band names and figuring out like 2 other bands already had each of them, I was listening to a Protest the Hero record one night, and I just turned it over, looking at the band or the song titles, and the Dissentience pop. It was one of them.
Like, oh, that's a word I can't pronounce, so let's pick that.
Yeah, I was like, what does that even mean? And I didn't even care what it meant. I just thought it sounded cool, and I looked it up, and nobody else had it. So I was like, sick. This is the one.
Yeah. He pitched the idea to us, and we were like, yeah, if nobody else has it, like it's cool enough sounding for us, like we all like Protest the Hero, so we're just like, absolutely, it's
nice.
Yeah,
so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any other influences? Anything outside of metal?
Oh, I mean, I listen to like if you go through my phone, like it's the weirdest.
Yeah.
Like it's so. I listen to everything from like.
And no guilty pleasures in this band.
Yeah,
everybody's upfront about it.
Like, we all listen to like the weirdest stuff. Like he mainly listens to rap now. Honestly.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say mainly, but I listen to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I grew like the house that I grew up in. My dad, like I said before, was in a hardcore punk band back in the day.
Band name?
The American Dream.
Okay.
My mom was super into like R&B, some disco stuff. My grandpa was into jazz. My grandma was into like just all different kinds of Hispanic
my dad
music
only
and
likes
stuff.
the Beatles.
Yeah,
just one band.
Just one band. That's it. It's just the Beatles.
So Connor, you had a musical household. You're telling me, right? You grew up with all kinds of influences.
I mean, even now, I think just off the top of my head, stuff that I've been listening to recently, other than rap, is probably like the Mahavishnu Orchestra is a big one. I love that, like old John McLaughlin stuff. He's a killer guitar player, and Billy Cobham on drums, mind blowing.
I think Eddie Van Halen names McLaughlin as one of his influences. In fact,
it doesn't surprise me. He was doing a lot of stuff like technique wise that Van Halen was doing in the '80s, in the late '60s,
yeah,
and 70s.
Exactly. Yep.
Just different context, but yeah, that Mr. Bungle is like one of my favorite.
I've seen them live a couple times.
I'm
crazy stuff.
So jealous.
Yeah, yeah, with masks and all kinds of stuff. It's just insane. But
did you ever see the Red Hot Chili Peppers show they did?
No, I never saw that. Really?
Yeah. Well, because they had beef with the Red Hot Chili Peppers or something, so they decided their retaliation was going to be they would just dress up like them, play their music, and do it better than them. And they came out and did a full like Bungle set,
just wearing socks. No, sorry.
They did a full Bungle set dressed like the Chili Peppers and playing Chili Peppers songs. So
that's hilarious.
I think it's on YouTube somewhere. They killed it, though.
I'm sure it is.
I think I saw him in like Snowcore, one of the Snowcore tours, which was like 2006 or no, it might have been like 2001 or something like that.
They broke up earlier than that.
Really? Yeah. I saw them. It was an awesome show though, but
yeah. But yeah, weird stuff like that. I don't know, but I love all that stuff because it sort of gives our music a different flavor. Our background is the more traditional thrash stuff and death metal stuff. I mean,
then
definitely
we'll throw in like melodies that like most people probably wouldn't do because we like it.
And guitar melodies too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
like a Maniac, like that lead over it. You know what I mean? Like that's something like I feel like I'm not saying it's not like a common thing to do, but like we liked it because we just like that simple melody over it. I think it adds like that extra dynamic to it, and I don't know if we would do that if we didn't listen to some of the music that we listened to.
Yeah, and that's what's jumped out for me too, and it kind of reminds you of like older style type music, not necessarily even metal, but it's just like you hear it and you're kind of like, oh, I've heard this before. It's comfortable, type.
I think
thing.
that too I mean, weirdly, probably comes from both of us playing sax in the band, like the high school band.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, not that a lot of that gets applied to like when we write music, but I mean, that was probably the first instrument you played.
Oh, it's definitely the first instrument I played.
First instrument I probably picked up besides like banging on a like, crappy drum set or something.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, no, I think that definitely had a big influence as far as having an ear for melody, especially with the sax. It's an interesting instrument because it'll play in the back sometimes, but then jump out the next minute.
Mm-hmm.
So, playing it's a lot like playing guitar in this band.
Cool. All right, we talked a lot, so let's cut to some another song from the album. I'm going to go to, or from the EP, I'm going to go to Chasing Existence. You're going to kind of intro that, tell me what it's about?
Nick actually helped write the lyrics on that one.
Do you like Aliens?
Yeah.
Aliens the movie?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that.
Yeah. Any aliens. Okay.
I'm a huge sci-fi nut, and I love like the weird, trippy 70s sci-fi novels, like Philip K. Dick stuff, or any like the old like Blade Runner. That just like kind of creepy, but still cerebral sci-fi.
Okay.
So I sort of wanted to come from a place of that and tackle the whole like topic of, do aliens exist? Like, is there something else out there besides just us?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think we did a pretty good job with it.
Cool. All right, this is Chasing Existence. You're listening to the Radiation Sickness Show right here on 91.3 FM WLVR. We're here every Thursday, 7 till 9, playing the hardest metal in the Lehigh Valley. You can also stream us on WLVR.org. You just heard Tombstone Currency, and before that, Chasing Existence, both from local metal band Dissentience. And, in fact, they're in the studio right now.
Going on.
What's up?
We're still here.
So you guys led into that set with an explanation of Chasing Existence. Now we came out of that set with Tombstone Currency. Tell me a little bit about like what that's about.
So I think that was actually one of the first songs that got written for the EP musically.
Yeah, that was the one that like up at Drexel, right?
That was one of the few up at Drexel. Yeah. I don't know. That song just sort of came about. It's one of the most fun ones. I love that one because it's got the big key change in the solo and whatnot, and a lot of stylistic changes.
It's one of my favorites to play live too. It's just
a
fun song. You just throw down to it.
Yeah, and lyrically, it's I don't know. We don't really like to tackle politics just because things are so hectic today with that, and
there's enough of it elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like so many bands do it too. It's just
we listen to music to escape that kind of stuff and not really get deeper into it. But it does tackle, I guess, politics a little bit. The thing is, we don't like to pick sides here.
Right.
You
and
know,
that's
so
what I
it's
got
sort of
out of reading the lyrics. It was, you could tell it was a little bit of
Yeah, and that's really more of what
like
it
a
is.
dictatorship type thing.
yeah.
Yeah, more of just, we need to come together as a people, regardless of what side you're on, like, just have a good opinion. Don't really focus on right, wrong, butting heads for the sake of butting heads.
It's not all about money and power.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Otherwise, this could lead to some seriously bad things happening. I don't know.
Potentially,
Yeah,
yeah.
potentially.
Cool. So you guys came out with this EP, 5 songs, Mask of Pretense, came out in the fall. Major undertaking, and I'll tell you, it came out like really professionally.
Thank you.
The sound is amazing. Tell me a little bit about that whole process. About you guys went from a 2014 demo. That's the other thing I've seen out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything in between.
Nah.
But then the next thing I saw was this, and quite honestly, you guys, like I said, your marketing person mailed it to me because they heard the show, and I put it on, and I get a lot of things from bands and all that, and I was just blown away. I was like, it's usually never that high quality and also good. So I was really impressed right from the beginning. So tell me about like going from the demo to this EP. What changed? What?
So
A lot.
Yeah. So essentially, the demo was the first batch of songs. Like once Nick joined the band, it was the first batch of songs that we felt were good enough to
to
actually
record.
put out.
Mhm.
And we were still in high school at this point, so it was like
Well, most of those
like-
were still left over from the Why We Fight.
yeah,
days,
exactly.
too.
Oh,
So
okay.
we kind of like rearranged a bunch of stuff and like rebranded it.
The one that was new for that was Reckoning Day,
Right.
which was sort of written like during the recording process. So we hadn't really jammed with Nick too much, but his influence and just the fact that we could write complicated stuff. Before we sort of felt limited by what our drummers could do
Yeah.
as far as what we could do.
Yep.
And now it was sort of like, well, we have to push ourselves because this kid, he's flying everywhere.
Yeah.
We
Crown Jewel.
we have this
Well, it was
tool
kind of
now.
like what Jimmy did when he started jamming with you, right?
Yeah.
He had to go to that next level. You guys wanted to
Yeah,
Oh,
we
we
be
all
all
able to
push
take
each other.
advantage of that.
I mean, look at Langer. He didn't touch any instrument really before joining the band.
Yeah,
he,
it was
he had
literally
a guitar in his
he
basement.
was a
that,
friend
like,
of mine
collected dust.
that I've been friends with since before I even met him.
Yep.
And me and Connor were jamming the one day. We had like one kid over that just didn't end up working out on bass. So we're sitting there just like racking our brain, and we're like, yo. And then like Langer had come over to like watch us jam once or twice, and I was just like, yo, man, like what if we, just got Langer to like play bass for us?
He's already here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no,
It's like,
that was Pappy's idea.
was it Pappy's idea?
That was Pappy's idea because I remember at first
It's been
I
so
just
long, I
I
don't
just
even-
brought the bass to him and I was like, "Do you want
Oh.
to play for us?" And
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh,
He was just
Heck
like,
yeah, man, sure.
sure. So he literally like picked it up. He essentially like almost taught himself. You know what I mean? And like
Wow.
he helped him out
Yeah.
a little bit,
That's
but
impressive.
like
Yeah.
yeah, and he's definitely
and he
the, like,
learned on
the
our
emo-
music."
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly. So I mean, I give all the props to that kid, and he, was always down to like going back to that first demo. All of that was recorded in essentially Langer's basement,
Oh
in my
wow.
basement.
Huh.
and well,
Either of the basement.
Yeah.
it was in a basement.
A basement.
So
Some
and that was
basement.
all with like like Cubase, and just, like,
Subterranean.
yeah, and just like our like laptops and like a little interface and just like doing everything like that. Nick's drums were live. Actually,
Yeah,
I
we
think
paid
he
to
did it
go
in
into
a
the
studio in
studio for that.
Altoona.
Mhm.
but that as far as like mixing everything together, and that was like him and Langer. Like Langer's really really good at that stuff, and like so is he. So like they always bounce back and forth with ideas on that about like what sounds good. So that's essentially how that demo came to be. It was just like that batch of songs. We did it all ourselves. Didn't really put any money into it except for Nick's drums. And like for our first demo, like we were really excited about it.
Yeah.
It was, the first thing we could release publicly, and we thought it sounded all right.
Yeah.
Well, and then ultimately that's what got us working with Corey Pierce.
Yep.
From
Yeah,
God
and
Forbid.
I wanted to get into that. So since you brought it up, tell me a little bit more about that.
So that was just sort of a by chance thing, which seems to be a weird string in this band.
So just so all the listeners know, Corey Pierce is former drummer for God Forbid.
Yep. Right, yeah. He's also working on a few other things right now, but everything's a secret with him. Everything's
so,
a secret. But yeah, so I guess he is one of the guys who is posts on the God Forbid page, and he posted something on there on his own behalf, just saying, like, yo, any local sort of Jersey, New York, PA metal band, send me your stuff. I'm looking to just listen to some new metal. And on a whim, I didn't even really listen to God Forbid that much before that, honestly.
Right.
I had never even heard of them before that. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're a great band. Don't get me wrong. Like once I started listening to them, I loved them.
You just weren't aware of them.
I just exactly. Like at the time, I was like, "Oh, cool, Corey Pierce, you're gonna send them our stuff. All right, cool." Like that was it.
And I just kind of sent him our demo, like, "Oh, hey, check this out," blah blah blah, thinking like that was it.
Yeah.
You'll never get back to us.
Give it a shot.
yeah, whatever. Like a month or so later, I got a message from him like, "Yo, really dig the stuff, man. Let's talk." And
nice.
One thing led to another. We ended up going to New York to do pre-pro for, like the batch of songs that ended up being on the EP.
So you had these songs already, and you were able to bring them.
They were in there like first.
This was a while later.
Okay.
Yeah.
We actually even did a song that didn't even end up on the EP.
Yeah, in New York.
Yeah. So.
But that was not a waste of time. We learned a lot from it. But we decided
wasn't what we expected it to be.
Yeah, and didn't necessarily get what we wanted out of it. But we still stayed in contact with Corey after all that went down, and he sort of broke off from that New York studio, started doing things on his own.
Oh, okay. So maybe that experience had something to do with the studio relationship? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so he started doing things on his own, and he was doing pre-pro out of his house, so we went there because he had like a basement studio type deal. So we went there for 9 days in August.
About 9 days, yeah. And just kept. It was 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just pounded the songs out, man.
Like just
played them
for hours.
until we couldn't. Stand
and he
them
was
anymore.
coaching you and basically producing the EP.
Him and our buddy Nick Cashmanian.
Corey was called Branded Jewels. Actually, you should look them up. They're great.
Yeah. He was sort of dealing more with like the guitar end of things because he's a guitar player himself. Corey was focusing more on like song structure and then the drums as well.
Telling Nick to hit harder.
Yeah. But I mean, he whipped us into shape,
as
absolutely. Like we said, our rigorous schedule is not so rigorous. Yeah. So for us, it was really more about like this, these 9 days we have to really buckle down and just, make these songs the best that we can. And we didn't even get to work on vocals during that 9 days. We just worked on all music.
Song structure and just making sure we could all play what we needed to play.
Yeah.
So he's like your coach. He was
essentially,
getting you guys in shape for the next level.
Big hand, absolutely.
And then those 5 songs were the 5 songs that ended up on the EP, which we did at Tracks East with Eric Rachel behind the mixing boards, and Alan Duchess mastered it.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Tracks East was awesome.
Yeah, because to me, between the demo and this, it's just like light years. It's like you listen to Pantera power metal, and next thing it's like Cowboys from Hell, and you're like, what happened in between?
Yeah.
And honestly, that's kind of what we were going for. Like, we wanted this to be like after all the work we had done with like the pre-production and just like having these songs for so long, it was like we needed to have this come out like as best as possible.
Yeah.
And
like
Eric,
a rebirth.
Yeah, it's like honestly crazy how much we gelled with like Eric and Corey and like working in the studio with them. Like I honestly can't thank them enough for like how this ended up coming out because without their help, I don't think
they made us sound so much better than we actually
are. That's awesome.
Yeah, so.
but they can't influence you live. So and you've gotten great accolades from playing live. So that's all you.
Yeah, we really really enjoy playing out. We play out as much as possible. We
just try to have fun. We want everyone to have fun at our shows. You know, I hate when you go to see a metal show and it's just everybody sort of standing there, arms
Well,
crossed.
honestly, just like any show, dude. Like,
I mean,
it
any
sucks
show,
when the
period.
bands don't even look like they're enjoying their
Well,
own
you
music.
mentioned Dillinger, and that's the complete opposite. They're like, we're so engaged
Or
with the
Bungle,
crowd. And,
anything that Mike Patton's in too.
Yeah.
He's a madman of a front man.
mm-hmm.
It's just like the approach I always take to it. It's like, I want people to see that I like it, because like when I see a band that doesn't even think,
Yeah, like they're just going through the motions.
It's like, what's the point? You know, like they could be playing the coolest thing ever, but if they're sitting there stone faced, looking like they're about to fall asleep, like, I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That and
So
the
we always like to have fun with it. We do, you know, like our little antics on stage. Like we mess around with each other. We just have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, and we want other people to have a good time. We try to get the crowd involved, and I think we do a pretty good job at it.
Yeah, I'm sure that comes out, and they sense that. You know?
Yeah. Well, the crowd only has as good of a time as you have.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, if we're up there having a great time, not really caring if we're, you know, missing a note here, there, you know, whatever, not worrying about that stuff, just focusing on putting on a good show.
Right.
They see that and they have a good time.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
So that kind of dovetails right into a perfect segue to Wacken Metal Battle. And I'm not going to say Wacken, they say it in Germany, but I think everywhere else they call it Wacken. So that's obviously the big metal festival in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around over 20 years, I think, or at least 20 years.
Yep.
And so what they did, and I think they've been doing this for a few years, is they want to invite some up-and-coming bands from around the world, from different countries. So to do that and to decide what up-and-coming bands are going to come, they basically had Battle of the Bands in various cities in these countries.
Yep.
Yeah. And so in the U.S., I think there's a battle in Texas. There's a battle in the West Coast. There's
Chicago,
Georgia, and the East Coast.
And L.A.
And congratulations, you guys won through several rounds for the East Coast.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
that's
Thank you
awesome.
very much, man. Yeah, we're very
Thank you.
excited about it.
Yeah, we're all real stoked about that.
Yeah. It was a interesting experience, considering it was just like I randomly was scrolling through Facebook one day back in like November, and I could have easily just missed the post, or you know, like not.
It's like
on
him
it.
sending the message.
Exactly.
It's
It was
all
like-
just this weird chance stuff, man.
I just remember clicking on it. I like looked through the application. I'm like, we have all this information. Like, yo, Connor, should I do this? He's like, yeah, screw it, why not?
Mhm.
So I just
And
sent
that
it out.
happens, they
We
say
didn't hear
no.
anything back for like 2 to 3 months. I just honestly,
Yeah, you forget about it. Yeah.
seriously, like we had forgotten about it. I opened my phone one day and it was just like, hey, you've been selected to participate in like the New York Battle.
Like,
of
holy crap, this is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
The first round ended up like being on my birthday too, so I'm just like,
Oh.
yo, like birthday show, like let's do this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Well,
we
it was
went
at
out,
St. Vitus Bar too.
Yes.
in New York, which is
which we've been trying to get in forever. You know, it's hard to like figure out like who to contact to try to get in
Sure.
as like a local band. You know,
Yeah.
if like nobody knows who you are. So that was one big thing about it. Was now like we have some contacts there. So hopefully you'll see us at St. Vitus soon. But
Plus, you play and you know you have a certain skill level and you think you're a certain amount of good or whatever, but now this is kind of confirmation. It's got to make you feel good that you guys are on the right track.
yeah, it's kind of what I was saying to him. Is like as soon as we were like driving back, or maybe it wasn't you. I was talking to Langer. It's like it's cool to have like that little bit of like validation for like
That's
all
right,
this
yeah.
time that we've put into this. Because like we put a lot of time into like playing shows and everything, and like you know.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just like 1 or 2 people after the show coming up and saying like, "Hey man, like that was cool, like I really enjoyed it." It's like you know we actually have
we've been
legitimate people in the music industry who have like a legitimate opinion
And
about what
a
they're
lot
seeing.
of history of listening to a lot of bands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was really stoked about like it. Just,
Yeah,
it just blew
it's-
my mind. I can't.
It's a
believe
great
we won.
accomplishment. It's really something to be
Thank
proud
you,
of.
man.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it.
So
Very-
next step,
Very great.
you're
Yeah.
going out to L.A. to continue the battle, right?
Oh yeah.
So there's several more battles to decide who goes for the United States. But
No, I think it's just one. Actually.
Yeah, it's just the one.
you
out
guys
in
play
LA.
one more show,
Yeah,
right?
we play one more show.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
Texas still has to do their final round
Right.
to determine their winner, and I think and I think actually L.A. still has to go. I think they.
Yeah,
both
and
go
I have
with
here
it.
the final is California or Arizona versus Texas versus New York City versus Chicago. So I just took this off the site. But
Yeah, it's just
it
like
seems
all
it's a
5
little
bands
confusing.
essentially play that night.
Okay.
It's at the Viper Room, like on the Sunset Strip, which is pretty cool. 'cause
Okay,
I've
so
never been out there.
what it is then? They're going to decide the winner between California and Arizona, and then it's that winner
Yes.
with Texas, with New York, which is you guys, with Chicago, with Atlanta.
Yes.
So it's all 5.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. So yeah, we do that. I think the show is May
25th, yep.
over Memorial Day weekend
At the Viper Room, I think you said that. Yeah.
at the Viper Room, and I guess we're driving out there, so that's going to be an experience.
All right,
the
cool.
There
bus.
we go. Yeah, right.
Now, I wonder if it's going to be broadcast anywhere, if it's going to be streamed or
I have
anything.
no idea.
You would think it might be.
Yeah, absolutely, for like a national final kind of thing.
Yeah.
I honestly, that's a good idea. We should send.
I'll look into it, and if we find out, I can announce it on the air.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We could
all
also
your
find a way
followers.
to do it ourselves too.
That's true. Yeah,
that is a fair point.
Yeah,
we could always do it ourselves.
Cool.
DIY, baby.
Yeah, seriously.
So, I want to play the remaining 2 songs on the EP. So we have Dissenter. Tell me about that one.
I'll leave this one up to Jimmy.
All right,
This is his baby.
So, I wrote most of the lyrics to this song. It was just like first of all, before this final lyric version and vocal pattern version came out, there were a lot more lyrics and vocal patterns involved in this song, and Connor really was not a fan of mine. After we started demoing the song, I just tried to throw in as much as possible into this song because in my head it sounded great. But then when you try to translate that, especially doing it live, it just was a jumbled mess. So,
this is definitely the song that changed the most vocally.
Yeah.
So like I said, when we did pre-pro, we didn't get the chance to do vocals, during those 9 days. So we were sort of pre-proing the vocals in the studio as we were recording them.
Yeah.
And this is probably the song that changed the most from its demo stage after pre-pro to the final version that's on the EP.
Just because you had to get it into a format where you could actually sing it.
Yeah.
Well, where I could sing it, where people could understand it. I wasn't just trying to fit words in.
Yeah.
The words mattered.
Yeah.
So
but this is as much as I hate to admit it, it's almost just every metal band has a song about hell. It's just this is kind of that.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah. So it's this is the kind of
song
for us. You know what I mean? It was just some dude who lived a really shitty life and was not a good person. He goes to hell and realize gets tormented for eternity.
And is Disinter raising someone from the dead, or is it abbreviated for?
It was kind of the working title for the song.
Do you want to know where that came from?
Yeah, go for it.
So I thought that just weirdly the beginning part sounded like Unearthed to me for what it's the first band that popped into my head, and when I was thinking of the song title in the demo, I couldn't figure out what to name it, so I looked up a synonym for Unearthed, and it was Dissenter. So that was just the working title, but then we were like, oh, this kind of works here. It's,
and it's interesting. It's not a word you hear all the time, Dissentience.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
All right,
it kind of fits with the name. So.
Let's hear it. This is Dissenter. You are listening to the Radiation Sickness Show right here on 91.3 FM WLVR, broadcasting from Lehigh University. We play the hardest metal in the Lehigh Valley every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. You can also stream us on the web, WLVR.org. You just heard Synapse Corruption, and before that, Dissenter, both songs from local band Dissentience, and in fact, they are in the studio today.
Hey.
We've been talking with them since the beginning of the show, and that was the last two of the 5 songs on the Mask of Pretense EP. So as we've been doing with each song, could you tell me what that Synapse Corruption, the concept of it is, or what it's about?
Yeah, that one was, I think that was all me, or mostly me.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So like I said before, I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, and on top of that, also, like I said before, maybe when we were talking off air, I'm not as into like the vocal stuff as much as like the concept behind the songs, or the feel of the song, the groove of the song, the drums, the guitars. And I love when bands like Anthrax specifically would do it with Stephen King books and like Stephen King stuff, where they would take the idea from the novel and sort of put their own twist on it in a song.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorite authors is Philip K. Dick, old school sci-fi author, and the book of Scanner Darkly is this really interesting story about this like cop who goes too deep into like he's trying to be a double agent and an informant on like some drug ring, but ends up just getting way too deep into it and sort of loses track of who's who, the informant or the cop.
Good or bad, yeah.
Right, and so that's sort of the whole.
So it's like a good versus
song.
Evil.
Yeah,
blending.
Good versus evil, sort of just like, I don't know.
Almost like an internal struggle sort of thing with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it more deals with like the internal good versus evil as opposed to the outward good versus evil. But yeah,
cool. Thanks for that. Thanks for going through the whole EP and explaining where you guys are coming from. I'm hoping that helps the listeners out there kind of relate a little bit.
Yeah.
So tell me about anything that you're doing now musically. Like, you have some songs that you're working on? Do you have any plans to release them?
Yeah. So we're working on this, like the new batch of songs, I guess, for what we hope to be the first
end up
full
being
length.
a full length.
Okay,
at some point.
Concept album?
I don't.
Me and him have talked about that. Like that's something we'll probably try to pursue down the road.
Okay.
Maybe,
I would love to do concept stuff, but I think it works better as like a one-off deal. Like I would never want to fall into the trap of someone like King Diamond, as much as I love King Diamond, where every album's a concept.
Okay.
I would love to do like a concept EP or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is hopefully going to be the first full length. Definitely going to be the first full length.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have 6 or 7 songs so far in the works.
And are you playing them live?
Nah. After going through the pre-pro process last time, I think we sort of come to an unspoken agreement that it's probably best not to play out any songs until we've sort of taken them through that pre-pro process. Yep. Just because
we don't want to give anything that's like half-at, just like not its full potential.
Yeah.
Like we want to showcase our stuff when it's ready to be showcased.
Okay.
And so
we did play one song out live. The working
what was
title
at Asbury Park. Was that the Saint, right?
We did it there, but we did it in New York too.
Did we do it in
Lucky
New York?
13.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's called Cheetle Juice is the working title.
Yeah.
Because I have ever since Don Cheadle came in Iron Man 2 and ruined the franchise, I've had
he was not happy about Don Cheadle being in that.
Is that like
Don
jumping
Cheadle.
the shark?
Yeah. But yeah, so we have like 6 or 7 songs. A lot of them come from myself and Nick the drummer. You've probably seen it on those little drum videos he does. He has that electronic kit in his room. So I'll go over there with the tiny amp and the electronic kit, and we'll just work on song ideas for a few hours. I'd say like 4 or 5 out of the 7 are probably close to being done.
And then for the other stuff, it's more just like tweaking structure, moving riffs around, just like all the ideas are essentially there. It's just figuring out a way to make sure that they're cohesive and blend together right.
So are there enough songs for the full length, or you need a couple more?
I think we need a couple more.
Probably.
I don't want to overdo
like
it.
Maybe 2 or 3 more.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to overdo it, but I think like 8 to 10 is that sweet spot for a full length where you keep, you can keep someone's attention for that long, but
anything more than that, and it kind of
but it also feels complete,
Yeah.
I don't like when bands put out a full-length record and it's only like 6 or 7 songs.
Yeah.
Except The Blackening by Machine Head. The songs are like 10 minutes. So
yeah, they are. Yeah, they're very long. Yep.
But so hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll be like pre-proing that and then getting into the studio next year.
So something in 2020.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. So for the listeners, tell us about some upcoming shows that you have. So we talked about the Viper Room show. It might be a little bit long of a commute for people that live in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
Maybe we have some streaming listeners that are listening from the West Coast. But
get a party bus going.
Yeah, let's go. I'll hop on.
Yeah, you'll be on it too. Yeah. So what about other upcoming shows you have?
Well, the most recent show that's coming up, we have a show this weekend at the Brighton Bar.
Okay.
In New Jersey.
The Shore Metal Madness
Festival. I think we're playing around like 6 o'clock.
That's like
there.
Long Branch or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Long Branch. And like we've played there before. Love that venue. It's a pretty decent stage. But if anybody in New Jersey's listening, like definitely come out that day. It's gonna be a great.
That's not
great
too far
time.
from
There's
here
like
even.
9 bands playing. It's bands that like we've played with before, and like they're all great. So
Nice,
absolutely come out.
I pulled the calendar up. So the 14th. 14th, we've got a show at the Building in Copley. Going to be an awesome show.
I'm excited. Never played there before. We've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I've heard awesome things. I heard the crowds there are pretty nuts, so I'm excited for that. I love crazy crowds.
Me too, man.
420, we're playing the Get Blazed Fest in Jersey. So, get ready for that one.
Where's that?
It's a house show in Jersey.
Yeah, it's
Clifton?
technically called the Mestosis Room in Roxborough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
No, it's in Philly.
That's what I thought I said.
You said Jersey.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, it's in Roxborough, like right outside Philly.
Oh, okay.
And, we played there before, and it's a cool little basement spot. People just get rowdy. It's
Wow.
a good time.
All the information for the shows is on our Facebook somewhere, by the way.
Yeah, that was I don't know if you have any more shows to talk about. I don't want to cut you off.
We have stuff in the works. At the end of June, I think we're planning a little
We're doing like a little
mini
weekend tour. We're going up to Massachusetts, Florence, Massachusetts. We're doing that.
Yeah,
and then we're coming back down to Asbury Park the day
So
after.
a couple shows in one weekend.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'll be fun. And there's probably a few more sprinkled in that I'm just not remembering right now. But
But definitely, probably best place to keep up with us as far as shows and whatnot goes is Facebook. We post all the shows there. If there's an event page, we share that on there. As far as anything else, I mean...
Any other updates? I mean, our
Instagram,
website, Dissentience.com.
Dissentience.com for the merch.
Or anything.
Yeah.
If you can spell it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We make it a challenge.
Sorry.
We make it a challenge to like us.
There you go. That's great. Yeah. If they've gotten that far, then they must be really
they must be
big
really
fans. Yeah.
So that's what we appreciate.
Cool. Anything else that you guys want to add to for the listeners out there?
Honestly, I want to give a big shout out to you for having us on here.
Cool.
Seriously, it means a lot.
My pleasure.
And digging us from the start.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
you've been messaging us for a while, like we
and
really
playing us
appreciate
like
the interest.
every week.
And I've shared info about you with all different people that I've run into in the industry and all that.
Man,
so
honestly.
because it's not often that a band that stands out, unique, good quality, good musicianship, and good songwriting like really comes along, and you guys are it. And it just like I said, that's the driving factor. It's just the added thing is that you guys are also local, so that's cool too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming in today.
No,
we really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us, seriously.
Cool. So you heard it. If you want to keep up with Dissentience, just check out their Facebook site, or you could go to dissentience.com on the web. All right, guys.